Hello and welcome to another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix, Becco. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it for free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that made this game and, help with get their other products a bit quicker, then you can go to Patreon, which is $3 a month. And yeah, I had to redo this one because I was like, and want this game earlier. Heck. So, on last Let's Day, I know that the later days are going to be a bit longer, but it was surprising where it's like, we started Friday, and then finished Friday, and then started Saturday, and it's like... And coming from playing Sileo, it's like, holy hell. These days, they pass by like actual days. And not being over 24 hours in a day. But anyways, that aside, on Friday, I had that thought in my head, but then completely forgot about that. Right, Leo said he wanted to make plans for all of us to go to the lake. That's why we're here. To, hang out again and try and reconcile, which I bet everything's gonna go well. But then Saturday started where Carl went for his interview, at which point, 10 minutes in, he ran out into the alley to throw up. Yeah, he probably didn't get the job from that. I hate interviews. It's always a pain in the ass. Whatever. Reset face. Oop, not on the right screen. And begin. Leo, TJ, Flynn, and Jenna are all gathered around a picnic table. It's set out neatly on concrete in front of the rocky shore of the lake. None of this existed when we were kids. In fact, it didn't exist when I left. How? I could understand if it was a small town or a town on the Grove, but this town has like 55 people in it. Which actually kind of makes the thought of the town going crazy kind of weird, because like, if it's a town of like a couple hundred or a couple thousand, it's like, okay, that's a thing. But if it's a town of 55, that's not really the town going crazy, that's like a small group of people fighting each other. Just saying. Echo is trying really hard to stay alive. Who's doing that? Do you have a mayor in a town of 55? I don't need to get out of the car to gauge the mood. My friends are in. Their shoulders slumped, faces turned away from each other. Like, what would you do to make a town of 55 not get any lower and increase? I guess you need some kind of booming thing, but still, unless there's some kind of tourism boom or something. I don't know. Apparently there's 2 people left in this town now during Arches, and I think I know who. Oh, actually, it's kind of fun. Never mind. As they park, Leo's ears perk, and he turns to wave at us. I take a deep breath and turn to Carl. You ready? Nope. Nevertheless, he opens the door and steps out, and I do the same. The sun's beat down on us, but being this close to the lake cools things down a bit. Does that work? As we approach, I see Leo with his butt up against the edge of the table, while TJ sits next to him. All of a sudden we're on a cliff? Jenna sits next to TJ, while Flynn sits across from Jenna. When Flynn turns around, he immediately zeroes in on Carl. Why? What the hell happened to you? Ah, okay. Drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Out of order, bud. No, I just put it in the appropriate descending order. Flynn rolls his eyes, then looks at me. Hey, fuckboy, maybe you can talk some fucking sense into this idiot? Leo's ears are flat, but he doesn't look at Flynn. Glad you guys could make it. Sure. Carl sits down next to Flynn, and I sit on Carl's other side, across from TJ. The silence that follows is possibly the most awkward one this week. Flynn snickers. See, this is stupid. How about we let it happen naturally, Flynn, instead of using every moment to take shots at people? Jenna's tone is icy. She hasn't even acknowledged me or Carl. It's because she wants otter dick. But we ain't giving it to her. TJ, meanwhile, keeps his head down, poking a sharp claw into the soft wood of the table. Flynn shrugs and starts to do his trademark I don't give a fuck lean back pose, but gives a start when he realizes there isn't any backing on the bench. Well, we've been sitting here for the past 20 minutes and nothing's happened. Maybe you want to start us off? Flynn sighs. Well, we could talk about how I never agreed to this shit. But he's here? How's Leo's a complete fucking idiot for forcing this to happen, and that I wonder what he thought this would accomplish anyway. It's a start, I guess. Flynn sets his jaw. Of course, talk that would actually get us somewhere wouldn't be for me, and he's not talking. The temperature seems to lower in the impossibly hot air, and I don't look at TJ to see how he reacts. After a brief silence, Leo speaks up. How about we start with you, Flynn? Flynn looks at Leo, brows raised. How do you feel about what happened? I see Flynn clench his jaw. What? Here we go. His tone sends shivers down my spine, and I feel Carl tense up next to me. I look out across the lake, the shimmering reflections blinding me. You never talked about it. Maybe it'll help. Sweat pours down the back of my neck, builds up under my arms. Even with the wind coming off the lake, it's way too hot. Am I telling you how I fucking feel? How the fuck do you think I feel? Flynn screams it, and TJ jumps in front of me. You just gonna keep it buried your whole life, cabron? Cabron? Or cabro? I think about the time I used to come down to the spot every day to skip rocks with Jenna and TJ. So, this is how you plan to fucking get us over this? By fucking making fun of me? I'm not making fun of you. I'm trying to help you. Taunting someone who's felt like shit for a decade is a pretty weird way of helping. Please, guys. Don't you even fucking talk right now. Don't you dare talk to him like that. We all went through this. Calm down, Flynn. The table shakes as Flynn slams his fist down on the wood, snarling and standing up. Tell me to calm down one more fucking... Just shut the fuck up. I stand up. Everyone turns to look at me, including Flynn. I don't say anything. Instead, I just strip off my shirt. The hell are you doing? I don't answer him. Instead, I take off my belt and slide off my pants, so I'm the only one left in my boxers. Without a word, I head to the lake. Yep, I'm gonna retrieve his corpse. It's about 100 yards from the tables to the lake, and while most of the way there is sand, a good stretch of it is pointy rocks. I make my way carefully over this section, remembering the numerous cuts I got as a kid. I don't look back until I'm right at the water's edge, and when I do, I see Leo following me in the process of taking his own shirt off. The rest of them are still sitting at the table, but I don't care because this is really just for me. I step in the water, sigh at how cool it is before I wade into the water. Once I'm waist deep, I dive under the water and pop up several feet further away from the shore. I'm neck deep at this point, and when I look back, I can see Carl now, standing at the lake's edge, paws deep in his pockets. Behind him, Jenna is helping TJ cross the rocks. Only Flynn remains behind at the table, watching us all. Leo's up to his chest at this point, and I swim in a circle around him, before diving under, then popping right up in front of him. Gah! Sneaky otter. He splashes water in my face, and I cough. Don't be that way. I swim around him some more and laugh at how he flounders after me. He was always a terrible swimmer. I dive under the water again and swim up toward the shore, popping up about 10 feet away from Carl. Having fun? He's smiling, looking at me a lot more relaxed than he has all day, probably because we just avoided a situation that could have gotten really ugly. To my left, Jen and TJ are sitting on a boulder in the shallows, TJ's slacks rolled up to his knees. Him and Jenna seem to be talking, so I decide not to play the same trick on them as I did with Leo. Flynn, meanwhile, is standing up, now, arms folded. For the next little while, I swim around, occasionally popping up in front of Carl or Leo, sometimes splashing them with my tail. There's a freeing feeling about finally swimming in this lake again, and having so much space. Flynn, after a good 20 minutes, comes out to the shore. He leans against an old, familiar boulder, watching us. There's no way for me to know how they are all feeling, if it's liberating like it is for me. Flynn is right, in a way. We can't just talk about it, because there's nothing really to say. What happens, happens, and no amount of talking can fix it. What we can do, or what I can do, at least, is choose to move past it. And that's what I'm doing right now. I just hope that they're feeling it too. Eventually, I run out of the exhilarating energy that had so consumed me and instead drift to the bottom of the shallows. I lay on my back against the sand, staring up at the murky glow of the sun. I feel my eyelids get heavy, and I stretch out against the soft lake bed. It is, of course, a bad idea to fall asleep underwater. If that had happened, though, I'd probably just try to breathe, get a nose full of water, and immediately wake up. Still, I decide that it's best I avoid that, if I can, and force myself to open my eyes again and swim to the surface. Except, I can't. I'm frozen. Every nerve of my body is on fire, and I struggle not to panic. This is new music. I try not to panic, to not start trying to breathe because that's all my body wants to do. I close my eyes and will myself to be calm. Sleep paralysis usually only lasts about a minute at most for me. I can hold my breath for 8, and I have only been under for... God, I have no idea. It feels like it's been a while. My chest is already starting to burn, and that usually means it's been at least 6 minutes. And this is starting to last a long time. Despite my efforts, panic starts to set in, and it sets in quick. I start jerking my body around, trying to get something, anything to move. I don't understand why I'm not floating to the surface. I'm not trying to stay underwater. The seconds turned into minutes, and now my lungs are really burning. Something has me holding me down. Maybe some kind of vegetation? The water begins to glow red, as if blood has spread across the surface above me. I tug and pull, praying that this is all a dream, that I'm back in Carl's room, that at any moment I'll wake up. You thought it would be this easy? That's a good one. I think that I know who that is. I try to turn my head towards the voice, which is right in my ear, even though I'm underwater. Things go silent again. At this point, I start to try and contemplate that I might actually die. I can't get my body to move. None of my friends know where I'm at, and now I'm almost out of air. Bubbles float past my lips as my lungs finally give out, and blackness starts to crowd in on my vision. He's waking up. My eyes open slowly, painfully, and I'm face to face with a ram, his muzzle wet with tears. Oh my god, he is. Give him room. I feel some rough paws support my back, turn me on my side. Can you breathe, Chase? Leo's voice is ragged next to my ear. Yeah, no, I'm fine. I sit up quickly and wave off dizziness that threatens to top me over again. I feel movement behind me, out of my field of vision. No, 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 no! I can't believe this. I can't fucking believe this. Flynn's voice is torn and ragged. I barely recognize it. Calm down, Flynn. No, we're forced to come here, and then this shit happens. Guys, I need to go. TJ, Flynn, get over here. I feel Leo's support leave me. Carl is still crouched down in front of me, though. Oh my god, dude, what happened? Carl's gasping, like he's the one that was just underwater. I don't know. Carl rubs my back as I rest my head in my paws. Vaguely, I can hear more yelling behind me, and Carl looks up too. No, don't. Leo, help! Despite my aching head, I turn around and see Flynn chasing TJ, grab him, and throw him down onto the rocks. Why? We were all there this time. Flynn doesn't get any further, though, because Leo tackles him with such force they fly a good 5 feet before smashing down onto the rocks and sand. Leo wraps an arm around Flynn's neck and yanks up hard. Jesus. Carl stands up and starts gasping again. I try to, but I fall back down on my ass. Carl reaches down to help me up. Shit, you're not okay. Yeah, I think that I've heard something where it's like, hey, if you kind of drown or almost drown, you're still not good because your lungs can fill up for some reason. Carl steadies me, but I'm distracted with trying to see what's happening. Leo's leaning down with his muzzle right up against Flynn's head, yelling at him. Meanwhile, Jenna's crouched over TJ. Carl starts to breathe heavily again, his wheezing picking up speed. I look over at him, and his eyes are glazed, as if he's watching everything from afar. Carl, what's wrong? I don't want him to have another panic attack. I know, I should probably stay and try to help, but I feel so fucked up right now. Besides, I don't think it'll help if Carl has a breakdown. I grab his arm. Let's get out of here, Carl. He looks at the scene a while longer, then turns away. Without another word, we will make our way back to the car. I get in, barely noticing that I'm drenching the seat. Looking through the windshield, I see that my friends are still in the same position that we left them, except Jenna. She watches us as we pull out and keeps watching us until we're out of sight. Like, angrily or like, hey, are you guys going to the hospital because he almost drowned? Carl stays in his glazed state as we make a short drive back to his house. I can't give him much of my attention, though. I'm more preoccupied by the fact that something terrible just happened. Not only to me, but the entire group. Maybe this is a dream? Everything feels so surreal right now. Like I'm watching all this happen from 100 miles away. I don't know. I look over at Carl, but his expression is still glassy. Am I driving? He looks exactly how I'm feeling. What's wrong, Carl? Oh no. You don't? I'm cut off as a large coyote suddenly runs into the street. But she's a good distance down the road, so there's no danger of hitting her. I watch as she tears out into the sagebrush, zigzagging about, arms flinging out in all directions. Carl and I both watch her as we pass, silent. Something's happening in this town. To all of us. Once we get to the house, Carl heads straight for the stairs. Carl! You guys back? How'd it go? I completely forgot about him. Raven's voice calls from upstairs. Ray? Something's wrong. Huh? What's wrong? I don't answer, as I walked to the stairs. To the stairs, Carl just disappeared down. This is different music too. Once I get there, he's already gone. I make my way down the stairs, and at this point, point that my headache starts to make a comeback. Carl? He's not in the basement either, but I can see the yellow light glowing from the crawl space. Something, I don't know what it is, but something feels incredibly wrong right now. Buzzing fills my head, the ground feeling unsteady, as if I'm walking on sand. Once I find Carl, we both go into the hospital. I stumble down into the crawl space, and again, Carl's not there. I'm greeted with a familiar row of tubs, but the stack of them has been pulled away from the wall. Carl? Carl, what? I fall silent because ahead of me is a hole, about 3 feet high and 2 feet wide. What the hell? Carl? Plastic covers the tarp around it, as if the wall had been bashed violently to create a hole. Did Carl go through it? Getting on my paws and knees, I look into it, but the darkness is inky and so black I swear I can touch it. As I crawl forward, my mind gives a violent jolt. I arch my head back, teeth bared as my face spasms. This is weird music for this scene, because this seems pretty chill music for... And then I fall, and it feels like I fall forever. Will you set face as the next scene comes? The wind blows pleasantly through my fur, seeping underneath and cooling my sweating skin. The smell of the desert, sagebrush, and dirt overwhelm my senses. Everything is black around me, but there are a million stars above me. I hear the smattering of small feet running circles around my body, snuffling of noises up against the sides and neck. Mixed into the sounds of the wind are words, languages I don't understand, chanting and singing the sounds of dancing. Then another language. I hear a word or two that I learned from Leo's years ago, and then my own language. And above it all is a maniacal cackling, one that builds and fades before choking off into a sob. The first feeling I have is one of confusion. I feel stiff and cold, and I'm lying back on something hard. I expect to see stars above me when I open my eyes, but instead, all I see is blackness. Panic starts to well up inside me. Breathing quickens, and, though it's hard and painful, I manage to push myself up into a sitting position. That's when I see a general glow coming from an opening about 30 feet away from me. Where am I? Last thing I remember was the lake. Wait, no. Carl's house is the last thing I remember. We went back to his house after the lake. Did I fall asleep in his house somewhere? I feel around the floor in my hands and can feel wood underneath me. It creaks as I shift around. Carl? My voice comes out hard and crackly. I have to lick my lips several times to keep them from sticking together. I call out again, but more softly this time, because now I'm starting to wonder if someone else brought me here. When I don't hear anything, I start to crawl forward towards the light. My head throbs a little, and there's a coppery taste in my mouth. Probing my tongue around, I taste the sour of bites along my cheek. I start to run through the list of things that could have happened. I was in Carl's basement, then I just sort of seized up. Did someone hit me over the head? I stopped crawling and started moving my hands around my body and over my head. No sign of any injuries. Aside from the cheek bites. It's really just the inside of my head that hurts. While I do this, lucidity starts to return in waves as if a dam has broken and all my senses are falling back into place. At the same time, panic starts to return as I realize how much this does make sense. Someone had to have brought me here, wherever here is. I start crawling again, trying to keep my panic under control. I'm almost to the glow, but it's weird because it's coming from the ground. As I get closer, I hear soft brushing behind my head. I tense and look over my shoulder. I'm greeted by the sight of inky blackness, so dark that it almost feels alive, and I get the impression of a giant mouth opening up in front of my face. The imagery gives me a jolt, and I lunge forward, decide to get up on my feet so I can move fast. And then I'm falling, but not for long. My senses are full of light now, and I throw my hands forward to catch myself. But I keep falling, and the split second before I hit, I realize there's a ladder. Instinctively grab it, but my head hits the rungs first, and I flip forward before landing on my feet. That didn't sound good. It happens on weak ankles, though, and my right foot gives out and my ankle rolls. I hear a series of pops before the rest of my body hits the floor. The old Hendrix's house? Oh, it's a thing that's like, well, what do we do? I lay there for a moment, sudden noise and violence of the fall stunning me. In my stupor, I feel the cold spiderweb of electricity pulsing from my ankle, and that's what spurs me to move. I pull myself into a sitting position to clutch at it. Fuck. The pain isn't really bad, but something is definitely wrong, and I'm not sure if I could just walk it off. That's when I notice the surroundings. A long hallway stretches out on to either side of me, lit by decorative chandeliers. Looking up, I see that I'd fallen down a drop-down ladder from a small square in the ceiling. What the hell? Look back down my ankle. I wiggle around and immediately feel another pulse of electricity that feels much more painful this time around. I grit my teeth and spread my hands out against the wall behind me, pushing myself up slowly, making sure not to put any weight on the injured ankle. As I'm doing this, I hear a soft clopping sound coming from my right. At the end of the hall, looks like it takes a sharp right, and it sounds like the noises are coming from that turn. My throat tightens, and I press myself harder up against the wall. I see a shadow slide up the carpet at the end of the hallway, and I hold my breath. The shadow stops too, and I get the feeling that whatever it is might be holding its own breath. Finally, the tension gets to me, and I clear my throat nervously. Carl? Chase? Carl! I let out a gasp of relief and almost sagged down to the wall. More clomping of footsteps, and Carl appears around the corner. His eyes are wide, and his nostrils flare. He stumbles up to me, his hands clasped together nervously. Well, maybe we'll end it here, because we're hitting that thing, and it's kind of the beginning of it. Right. It's kind of the beginning of a scene change, and I feel like this isn't going to be something so quick and easy. So, the end of this Let's Play. So comment, cause I like comments, sometimes you like, dislike, tips, tricks, otherwise. If you like my YouTube and likes it grow, then please like, subscribe, and check out the videos to help it grow, and please remember to spay new animals to help control the pet population. And if you want to play this game, it's available for free on itch.io, but if you want to support the people that make this game, and I get the news version earlier, you can go to paid. Now, this game is already fully out, but if you want to, support the people that made this game, and or get other games earlier, you can go to Patreon, $3 a month. Though it's kind of weird because, do a thing. Their projects are Echo, which is finished. You have the Smoke Room, which was getting the most amount of updates, but then the person that was in charge of that game was, fired, I guess, from the group. So he's no longer doing the Smoke Room. Maybe someone else will. Glory Hounds, well, I'm not sure how many updates that got, or if the updates that I've done of that as a was in one batch. And we all know how the rest of the things are going, aka Intera and Kamiya, which... It's been a while. We'll have to see. I was hoping that, there'd be more content, but I don't know. Anyways, until next time. Another Let's Play. Or Spanier Amos. Another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix, of Echo. So thanks and see ya.